to the Brew Bucks podcast. The podcast for the beer-drinking enthusiasts trying to get better with money. Your hosts, Jake and Alec, interview personal finance creators, speakers, authors, real estate experts, and everything in between. There's nothing quite like having a conversation with your friend while sipping on a cold one. If you're looking to learn more about money without all the fluff and BS, you've found your new home. This is the Brew Bucks podcast. Now your hosts, Jacob Wilhite and Alec Miller.
Welcome back to episode number 49 of Brew Bucks. Alec, what's up, buddy?
It's going well. I've been trying to focus on trying to lose a couple pounds before the wedding. And I think a lot of times that comes with getting a better eating routine or exercise routine or whatever that is. And I think I've always kind of struggled with getting good routines down. Unlike you, who wakes up at 5 a.m. every day, goes to the gym, like you've got a great routine down. So I think a lot of times people out there kind of struggle with routines and where they should start. So with me, I just start with something very small. This might sound gross to some of the listeners, but I'm terrible at flossing my teeth.
I think many Americans are terrible at flossing.
Exactly. It's not just me, but the people that floss every day are like, you're sick. People that don't floss all the way are like, I feel you, bro. So I'm one of the people that doesn't floss every day. But lately, I have flossed almost every day for the past 30 days now. I think I might have missed one day. And I'm proud of myself. And I realized it's just something small that I could easily adapt into my lifestyle and then just grow from there. So I think now I'm starting to run again. I've ran like every day for the past week or so. I'm starting to add these routines back into my way. And I think a lot of people don't know where to start when it comes to routines. And I say just start with something small. I started with flossing, and I feel like that made that little happy routine I got going made me want to do other routines and get better at life. So if anybody's out there wondering where to start with something small. If it comes to whether it's flossing your teeth or just making yourself lunch every day instead of going out, like something small, and then just add on a new routine after that, a new routine, just keep it going.
So one of my favorite books, I'll pull it off the shelf real quick, is bada bang, bada boom, Atomic Habits. And it's by James Clear. And one of my favorite things in the book that he talks about is the power of stacking habits, habit stacking. And that's really kind of like what started it all for me. Or not what started it all, but started like some of the snowball that I've been on lately. And it's simply attaching a new habit to an existing habit, right? And so for me, like I wanted to start reading a little bit more. And so it was, okay, every time I get home from the gym, I'm going to sit down and immediately read for 20 minutes. You know, I already have the habit of getting up at 5, going to the gym, coming home. I need this like cool off period anyways. I'm going to sit down and read for 20 minutes after, right? Oh, cool. Now that I've built this habit, I'm going to stack another one on top of that, where before I go to the gym, I'm going to do my daily journaling. Okay, cool. Now that I've got that habit, stacking another one on top of another one on top of another one, right? And sometimes this makes it so much easier to just implement something new into your life because you're kind of it's almost like a cheat code,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. Stack and then attack. And I like that. I mean, that's so true. It's like I brush my teeth daily. I just wasn't flossing, and now I'm brushing my teeth and flossing after it. So it's just that little stacking.
Yeah. For me, the hardest part was always because I'm like one of those people that brush their teeth in the shower. And so I was like, well, it's kind of hard to like floss in the shower.
You got to have a mirror. It's hard to see where you're going up.
Well, that it's like, like, I don't know, especially if you use just like regular floss, it's like, I don't know, just doesn't work as well. So
yeah, you're the king of multitasking, brushing your teeth in the shower. I respect that.
Dude, it's like sometimes it just makes a mess. I don't know. It's just easier. I'm not the only one. I know
you're not. You're not the only one. I know there's other people. So,
all right. What's our question of the day?
Well, our question of the day was such a large question that we decided to make a whole episode about it.
Yes, half pint episode. Surprise! It's just me and Alec.
Yep, exactly. So no guest today. It's just me and Jake, and you get to hear our voices the whole time. So if that's okay with you guys. But basically, the question we always get all the time from people is, where do you start? And that's very vague, but we try to simplify where to start on your financial journey. And Jake has come up with some amazing little.
It's part of my.
Come up with this, or
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's a million different versions of it out there.
Yeah.
I think like this is my interpretation or like my preferred method, the method that I guide all of my clients down that I'm coaching. And so this is just one slide of my basically getting started presentation that I walk through basically everyone in their first session. And it's basically, it looks like this if you're watching on YouTube. It's my financial roadmap, and it's just a set of steps to follow to get started, one foot in front of the other. And I think, again, there's so much that goes on with finances, whether it's investing or it's paying off debt or it's saving money or whatever. There's so many different elements. And so people get overwhelmed and just don't know where to start. And so that's why so many people have the question, where do I start? And so we're going to walk through it today. So should be good.
But before we get into that, it's time for beer.
Yep. Beer 30. What you got?
All right. So what am I drinking today? It is called Headspace IPA, and it is brewed by Foundation Brewing Company. They are located in Queens, New York. And it says it's a West Coast IPA, dry hop with Citra, Simcoe, Centennial, and Cascade, brewed in collaboration with Foundation. So I don't know who the main one is. I'm all confused. That's okay, though. So it sounds like it's got some of the better hops. So let's give it a taste.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Ooh, it's very crisp right at the start. Not overly hoppy, but very smooth, kind of tropical notes. Almost like mild papaya in there in a way. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, I really like it. Actually, it's super drinkable. What's the ABV on this? The ABV is 5.5% ABV, so that's a good day drinking IPA. I like that. So I'd say this is a buy for sure.
That's an IPA. It's not a pale ale.
Yeah, it says IPA on it. India Pale Ale. So those session IPA.
Yeah.
So, all right, what are you drinking over there?
So I don't remember the episode. I think it was maybe, I don't know, was it like a couple weeks ago, I think now, that I brought on a non-alcohol beer.
Boo.
I know. But speaking of habits, I've been trying to cut out the habit of daily post-work beers, and I think it's so easy to just come home and just like, it was a long day, whatever, I'm gonna have a beer or two. And it's not even that it feels like unhealthy. It's more of just like, these are just like unnecessary calories that I'm like consuming pretty much every day. And I know we've talked about my Oura Ring lots of times, and it's screwing with like my sleep score too, because like, again, if your body's working to digest alcohol, your heart rate variability is all over the place. So lots of different, things that I know we've talked about sleep a couple times lately, so I won't get into it too much, but trying to get better in that regard as well. So I just wanted to share another one of their beers that they make. I think last time I did the IPA. Again, the brewery is Athletic Brewing Company, blowing up right now. And all their cans look like real cool beers. All the beers taste good. It doesn't taste like, I don't know, I feel like when normal like breweries make an NA beer, it's like, oh wow, this is pretty gross. I would not want to drink this. So this one is the Cerveza Atletica, and it's a light copper. Reading the can here, it says, like an easy paddle into a perfect swell, Cerveza Atletica is a smooth ride. Crafted with premium Vienna and Munich malts, it has a distinct but delicate bread crust flavor and light, spicy, and floral undertones. Dry, crisp, clean, and thirst quenching. It is an easy to drink summertime essential.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah. All right, let's try it out.
And I don't know if you guys at home know how NA beers are actually made. It's pretty crazy. They brew them normally, and they put them in this big centrifuge machine that spins it really fast, and it basically divides the alcohol and everything else. And then you got NA beer. I don't know what they do with the alcohol, but it's just out of it after that. So
drink it straight. I'm not gonna lie. This one is not my favorite. I think I was expecting more of just like a Modelo tasting beer, and this one I think is taking a different approach with the light copper thing going on. So I don't know, it's got kind of a funny aftertaste to it. Like on the front end, it's still nicely carbonated, good mouthfeel, good flavor, but I think it's the back end flavor and kind of aftertaste that's throwing me off a little bit. But like I said, this is maybe not my favorite by them, but they do make a lot of great NA beers. And I think, for the people who like light coppers, they'd probably enjoy this. But again, I think I was just kind of expecting something a little bit different. So, but yeah, if you're, I think, I don't know, they're nationwide right now. I think mostly in Whole Foods. But if you see it out there, grab a 6-pack because yeah, they're good, and it's a way to still maybe enjoy the habit of cracking a beer, but without some of the terrible side effects.
It's true. We have great good habits, and there's also bad habits. So I think sometimes you can get in that habit of just, I'm off work, I'm walking in the door, I got to open up the refrigerator, grab a beer, and it becomes a part of your routine. Yeah, unwind. So there is also bad habits, guys. So not all habits are good. You just got to kind of figure out which ones work best for you.
And don't let there's bad habit stacking too.
Yeah, don't bad habit stacking. Oh, I need another beer and another beer.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's jump into this thing.
Hell yeah.
So, the LCF financial roadmap. Where do we start? So, I guess before we even jump into that, there's a couple things that I like to go over with clients before we even get to step one. And that's talking about what your why is. Like, what is motivating you to take control of your money, right? I think when people just kind of wake up one day and say, oh, I should probably be better with money. Like, let me kind of do some things and move some things around and try some things out, are ultimately the ones who end up pretty unsuccessful with it. I think you've really got to sit down and look in the mirror and say, hey, like, what do I want my life to look like 10, 15, 30 years from now? And what does the process look like to get there? I think so many people struggle looking 30 years ahead because I don't know, it's not fun to think about, oh, what's life look like when I'm 60? And people feel like, oh, that's so far away, but man, does like life goes by pretty damn quickly, and the days go by slow, but the years go by quick, and so really being honest with yourself, hey, what do I want my life to look like 30 years from now? What do I want my children's life to look like? What do I want retirement to look like? And being real with yourself and saying, hey, I'm on track to be living in poverty in retirement, or I'm going to get on track and make sure that when I'm in retirement, like I'm living like a king, like a queen, being able to travel, do the things I want, pay for my kids' wedding, pay for them to go to school, all those kinds of things, right? And so I think creating that crystal clear why is a super important thing to do before you even start this journey. Otherwise, you're just going to give up halfway through.
Do you recommend ways of doing that? Say, is like maybe you should write on a whiteboard so you look at every day, make a journal of whatever your whys are. Something you recommend?
Ooh, that's a good question. Something I do with people is I guide them down like the values rabbit hole. And so we try to talk about, hey, like what are the things that you truly value in life? A lot of the times, things come up like, oh, well, I value my family and my kids, and I value my time. And so we talk about how really, like, if you value your time, like money can be used as a tool to buy you more time. By investing correctly, you are buying yourself more free time by not having to work for money, right? So we talk about that. Oh, you value family and your children. Okay, well, what kind of life do you want to be able to provide them and help kickstart their lives, with whether that's with college or buying a home or, again, a wedding, whatever it may be, right? So starting with your values is a really good way to kind of create a list of what it is, what your why is, right?
Cool. And this is something you should do alone, right? You shouldn't be involving your wife or your significant other or whatever it is.
So I think I kind of made this mistake at first where I was, I threw Stevie into the loop and was like, hey, we're taking control of our money. We're doing a budget. We're doing this. We're investing, half of our income, yada, yada. And luckily, she's amazing and is pretty much, she trusts me and is down to jump on board for anything. And she's so simple. And, she was never the type, but she's never been the shopaholic or anything like that beforehand. So it was a little bit easier to convince. But if you got a spouse that is maybe super spend happy and one that is trying to save, it's probably not going to work out very well. And you're going to have to sit down and get on the same team, Yeah.
So do you and Stevie like once a month sit down, or would you guys set aside time to sit down and do a budget?
Well, to be honest, our favorite time, like my favorite times that I can remember, and this is not necessarily with the budget. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute, but as far as just like goal setting, there was a year where we just went on a walk after dinner, like every night, and just talked about like what the future looked like, what our goals were, what were some of the ways that we were going to be able to make those goals happen. And lately, it's been really hard to go on walks with the 40 days and 40 nights of rain that we've been getting. But I think that was really cool. And that's kind of what where a lot of those beginning conversations happened. So I would create an environment like that, make a habit of, again, is it a quick walk after dinner or, during the day where you're just walking around talking about your goals? Is it, I don't know, maybe it's at dinner or after dinner, you're making time for it. But as far as the budget goes, we've gotten so good at it that it takes us 5 minutes at the beginning of every month to just look at it and decide, hey, what's going on this month? Do we have anything important we need to do? Anything that we need to buy or build into it, and go from there, so.
My favorite part about you guys going on your walks when I used to live with you was I'd always see both your cell phones on the table. So you guys were going out doing your walks without your phones. It was just you guys having attention with each other, and I always thought that was really good.
That's funny that you picked up on that.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought you guys got kidnapped or something. I'm like, why are their phones here? Where are they?
Interesting, huh? Yeah, that was intentional for sure, because I don't know, even when you're, I feel like I've seen so many people who are out on a walk out in nature and they're like on their phone walking around. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You're like, this is like defeating the whole purpose of this,
Such a distraction. I mean, whether it might just be buzzing you to tell you something random, but you feel like you have the obligation to look at
to
it.
pull it out and look at it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Terrible. Even just
oh
check the
God.
time over and over.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
We could go on a freaking cell phone rant for hours, but I think that's like a big goal of mine this year. And I've turned off all my Instagram notifications. I've turned off, all social media notifications. They just don't send it to me anymore, which has been nice. I've gotten like turned on like a lot of the what is it, the like productivity sensors. So if you're on a certain app for too long, it tells you and kicks you off and whatnot. So
interesting.
That's been a big goal of mine, because I've definitely been victim of that. Not victim of it, but I have put myself in situations where like I have felt dependent on the phone, or again, being I've been the guy that's been on a walk and been on their phone, and that's when it was like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Like I'm leaving my phone at home, so there's literally zero chance of this happening, but side rant.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a good side rant. I mean,
yeah.
It's something that we all struggle with in this day and age. We all have this phone in our pocket. It's just a distraction 24/7, no matter where you are. So people don't even communicate. You're in a waiting room at a doctor's office. You're not talking to the person next to you. You're just on your phone, ignoring the person next to you.
Totally. Yeah. We could have a freaking 3-hour rant about it, but.
All right. So now back on the subject then, right? Of the roadmap. So the pre-questions, I guess, where do we start? Find out our why.
Yep.
So we figure out our why.
Communicate with your spouse.
Communicate with your spouse. If you are solo, make sure you're doing it for the best for yourself. Do not lie to yourself. I feel like it's easy sometimes to lie to yourself and be like, I am going to do this. Be realistic to yourself. You're only going to hurt yourself if you're lying to yourself.
Don't let the bitch voice creep up.
Yeah,
that's the thing, like that. Another like side rant, but there's going to be so many times where the bitch voice is telling you, oh, well, you worked hard today, you deserve a break, or you just, you deserve to go out to dinner because you got a little raise. Oh, you went to the gym today. Like, you deserve that beer. And I'm telling you, like, you've got to ignore the bitch voice if you want to win. And I mean, believe me, the bitch voice is strong in my head all the time. Oh, you had a really tough day at work. Like, you don't need to go to the gym today. Like, you deserve a night just to relax. And if you let that take over, like, I mean, this is great, talking about what things to do beforehand, because you got to commit to putting the bitch voice to bed. Because otherwise it's going to get in your way a lot during this process.
One of my favorite interviews is actually with Matthew McConaughey. I know you read his book and everything, so he probably drops on this a little bit, but he says no matter what he does the night before, he always wakes up and goes on his run. He says if he chooses to drink and he wakes up hungover, he goes, well, I made that choice. I still have to fight through it and get on my run. And I think when you create that voice rather than the bitch voice, it is going to push you so much further in life and help you out. So just ignore that voice. Just go with the voice that wants you to succeed.
Totally. Yeah. Because it's so easy. It's so easy to fall, to just make up things in your brain and tell yourself, oh, like, I deserve the day off or whatever it is. Right. So
we all think we're special. We all deserve everything in life. It's how we are. It's how it is as a human. So All right, perfect. So before we start this roadmap, anything else, or is that about it? You create your strong why, you figure out who to conversate with, and then that's it.
Yeah, ignore the bitch voice.
All right, cool.
And
Well,
if you don't have a spouse, get an accountability buddy. You know, tell one of your friends, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the journey that I'm on. These are the things that I have planned. And so, and make it someone that you can really trust to tell you what's up. You know, if you feel like, if you're telling this person, hey, I'm going to start saving money, and then you're out, I don't know, buying a new $200 pair of shoes, like, make sure it's someone who's going to tell you, hey, what do you like? Why you didn't need to do that? Like, come on, we're on a plan here. Stick to it. So
that's important. I like that.
Yeah. So moving on.
Cool.
Step number 1. What we got?
Mini emergency fund. So save 1 month of expenses.
Yes. So first and best place to start is saving a little bit of money. I recommend trying to get up to at least 1 month of expenses. And really, this is so that as you start the process, if tiny little things come up, we have a method of paying for it. You know, the classic example is someone who starts paying off debt. They pop their tire. They don't have the money to pay for the pop tire. They go to the tire shop and they put it on the credit card, and we restart this process, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why it's extremely important to get hey, you know, at least like 1 month of expenses saved up and put aside for some of these little things that might come up during the process and not ruin all of our progress.
Yeah. And what'd you say, like 1 month of expenses? I mean, maybe at least like $1,000 minimum or something like that.
So it's going to be obviously different for everyone, but I would include, hey, everything that goes into your housing, you know, whether it's your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, taxes, all that good stuff, right? Transportation, gas, childcare, food. I don't know. Those are all the, you know, the big ones.
Yeah.
But make sure you know, calculate all that stuff up for 1 month. You can pull a bank statement. You can, you know, just sit down, pen and paper, and kind of go through each one of your bills, whatever it may be. And it doesn't need to be freaking down to the penny, but you know, a rough estimate of, okay, cool, I spend about, you know, $4,000 a month in expenses that are mandatory, that if I lose my job or whatever, I can't cut back on these things. They're going to happen no matter what. And so make sure you got money aside for that.
Cool. And then, I mean, where should people keep this money? Should they buy $1,000 worth of GameStop stock, or should they put it in their bank?
I would keep it in a standard savings account. Again, it's not this crazy massive amount of money that you're going to be like gaining tons of interest on, you know? So again, I would just keep it simple with this 1 month emergency fund, because again, it's pointless to try and put it in something that's going to grow at, you know, when it's only a little bit of money. So just keep it simple and accessible, not like too accessible, but to where, you know, hey, I can transfer this money over and I'm going to be able to use it quickly. So
cool. So, I mean, I know a lot of people in America live paycheck to paycheck. So sometimes it is hard for them to get that extra income to save up. What things do you recommend for those people?
So yeah, this is kind of where the conversation starts, because most people are already living paycheck to paycheck, right? Especially like the ones that I work with. And so the conversation comes up, well, how am I supposed to save money? Well, when I'm already like having to put things on credit cards just to stay afloat, right? And this is where doing a budget really comes into play, right? So making sure that, hey, you're doing a budget every single month, and writing out all your expenses for the month, figuring out what the deficit is every month. If you are, you know, in the red every single month, how much, what money do we need to come up with just to cover the hole that we're in, right? And so doing a budget is super important. But secondly, like, this is where the conversation really starts about, hey, we might have to pick up another job. We might have to start door dashing on the side, or Ubering on the side, or, you know, working 10 hours a week at, I don't freaking know, like the bowling alley or whatever it may be, or making some pizzas here and there. And again, a common argument is, well, I have a family, I've got things I've got to do, right? All these different types of things, that all other obligations. But at the end of the day, there's sometimes there's not an option. You know, it's do we stay in debt and keep drowning, Or do we suck it up for a little bit and we start to work 60, 70 hours a week to get us out of this hole that we've dug? And, sometimes there's a bit of backlash in that because, again, especially with people with families, it's a very hard balance to find. Well, you're saying I should take time away from my kids to do this? Well, it's a very short sacrifice for a very long-term gain, right?
Yeah. Or become a babysitter if you have kids. Make a side hustle out of it. Start getting paid to babysit. Like there are ways to make extra money that I think people just choose to ignore at times as well.
Yeah, totally. We've done this side hustle series over the last couple months and have just shown so many ways that you can make money doing so many things. It doesn't even have to be time away from kids. It could be making freaking bracelets with your kids and selling them on Etsy. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but you've got to have some real good, again, conversations with yourself, with your spouse of what are some additional ways that we can bring in income? Can we pick up a roommate, for a little bit? Can we, like you said, we're already maybe at home watching our kids. Can we start to babysit someone else's or nanny someone else's kid that's going to bring in additional income, right? And so that's kind of where, okay, people start to come around a little bit when we talk about getting a second job or starting a side hustle. It doesn't always need to be something that takes up a ton more of your time or takes time away from you and your family, as it is. It can be something else that, again, falls in line with what you're already doing, right?
And if you don't want to get a side hustle or a second job, I mean, it might be just having a hard talk with you and your spouse about, are you guys living above your means? Because because I mean, a lot of people, they feel like, oh, I need those Lululemon sweatpants, or I need that, just whatever brand it is. I need those new Air Jordans that have come out. And a lot of people, you got to go to Kohl's, you got to go to Marshall's, and that's where you should buy your clothes and save money. If not, because I think way too many people live above their means because they want this certain lifestyle. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it's so important to not keep up with the Joneses. Do what's best for you. Don't worry about what other people think.
Many people struggle knowing the difference between a want and a need, where, again, people say, well, I'm buying clothes. I need clothes. I have to wear clothes out in public, right? And so they say, and again, what happens to the situation that you're explaining here is they go, okay, well, I have to buy pants, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to Lululemon and buy pants. And that's where, again, some of the needs and the wants get, tangled up a little bit. And it's, you need clothes. You don't need $150 pair of pants. And some people get very confused in that sense, right? Or even with housing. I mean, housing is the biggest one. Well, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2,000 square feet with a yard for my dog and all these types of things. And it's like, do you need that big of a house for you and one kid? I don't know. Again, these are conversations that are not for me to tell you, but they're conversations that you need to have with yourself.
Yep.
So just as bringing in more income is important by picking up a second job or a side hustle, whatever it is, cutting your expenses is just as valuable, right? Cutting down, and maybe we're not buying designer clothes. Maybe we're not going to Whole Foods. We're going to Safeway, grocery outlet.
Walmart.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people feel like they have pride that they don't shop these places. They go, oh no, I'm above those places. But in reality, no, you're not. You're just spending extra money on the same thing that these other people are buying at this place as well.
That was exactly my next point to bring up is pride. And pride gets in so many people's way of being successful. Don't be too fucking prideful to go shop at grocery outlet. Like, I get it, but no, there's not some person with a camera out there recording, be like, oh my God, look at Betty shopping at grocery outlet. What a joke. Like, it's not, that shit doesn't happen, And so, don't be too prideful. Don't let pride get in your way.
Yeah, absolutely. So trust me. I mean, if you still have that sense of pride and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're broke and you're never going to retire, what's the point of having that pride?
Yeah.
So, cool. All right. So we create a strong why. We create an emergency fund. Anything else over the mini emergency fund you want to go over?
I don't think so.
All right. So the next step is paying off consumer debt.
Paying off consumer debt.
Pay off debt with a vengeance.
Yes. Yes. So here's where the fun starts. We are going to collect all of our different debts. I'm talking car payments, credit cards, student loans, furniture loans. What other crazy loans do people have out there now? I mean, people mattress loans.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there's
everything now.
there's so many different things that people can make on payments
You
now.
can get a loan for a wedding.
Dude, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
People do it.
So we're gonna collect all of those different loan balances, the monthly payments, and the what did I say? Monthly payments, the total balances, and the interest rates. We're gonna collect them all, and we're gonna write them all down. Okay. Doesn't need to be in any particular order at this point, but we just want to make sure that we have them all. And again, this could be through going through previous bank statements and checking out, hey, you know, what was charged throughout the month, but making sure we've got all of them. You could do it by pulling your credit. That's another good way to know, hey, what loans do I have out there? And again, make a good list of all of them. So once we have all of our debts, there's two different methods that people use. Okay. There is the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. Both have their own benefits. I'll explain both of them. Starting with the debt snowball is where you line up your debts, smallest balance to largest balance. Okay. So you got $1,000 credit card, a $2,000 furniture loan, and a $3,000 car loan. That would be the order that we'd go in, right? The debt snowball is cool because it allows you to get some wins right out the floodgates, right? It allows you to attack that smallest debt, get it knocked out, and get some wins under your belt, right? Sometimes if you're starting with I don't know, like a $100,000 student loan, and that's the first one that you're attacking, it can really feel like you're never making a dent in it. Yeah. And so that's why attacking those small ones can feel nice and keep you going, right?
The little wins.
Yeah, little wins, exactly. And so that's the debt snowball. After you knock out that first debt, you take all the money that you were applying to that first debt and the monthly the monthly minimum payment that you're paying on it, and start attacking the next one, right? After that one's knocked out, you take all the money you were spending on the first debt and the second debt and put it on the third debt, right? So it starts to snowball, and the monthly payments that you're sending to these other debts are getting bigger and bigger because you've eliminated some of the smaller ones, right?
But
so that's the debt snowball method. The avalanche is different, where you start with the debt with the highest interest rate. So, maybe you've got a credit card, again, at 16%, with, I don't know, $3,000 on it, but you've got a furniture loan at $5,000 with 2%, right? We're going to attack the credit card first and get it knocked out. So again, has some benefit because you're saving money on interest. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the avalanche, if you're looking at a mathematics standpoint, makes the most mathematical sense. But what we've learned in finance is that personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge, right? And so again, for most people, the behavior-driven things are going to be what the focus needs to be, right? And so that's why I like the snowball better, because it helps people that struggle with already the behavior, the mental side of personal finance. It helps them cross that finish line.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like one is really better than the other, I'd say. It's just whatever you feel like works best for you. And I know Jake and I are both fans of the snowball method personally, because we do like the little wins. We like seeing that you're paying that off, and it just gets you excited for paying off debt. You're like, oh, I've crushed this one, and you feel like you can move forward. But it's not for everybody. Some people want to do the avalanche method. They want to get the big ones. It is more mathematically, like, you're probably going to save some money by doing it that way. At the same time, if you have a credit card loan that has like that 16% of $3,000 or $4,000, and then you have 6 or 7 other debts that are all like 5 or 6%, you're probably going to end up paying the same in the long run if you were to look at it. But yeah.
And oftentimes, oftentimes they are similar. Oftentimes, like, the lowest debt and the highest interest rate are both on a credit card, and the highest debt with the lowest interest rate is like a car loan, right? And so a lot of times they even come out to like being the same thing. So again, if you're like an accountant, you're probably the person that's going to want to go with the avalanche because you like math and you understand like those benefits. If you're someone who again, has been known to have bad habits or bad spending behavior, you're probably going to want to go with the snowball. So, but up to you as the individual and figure out whatever one works best for you.
Cool.
So keep it going until they're all knocked out.
All right. So we have our mini emergency fund. We pay off our consumer debt. Anything else on the consumer debt?
I don't think so. Just
All right,
attack it with vengeance, like
With
you said.
vengeance, yeah.
I would say this is where it's time to double down on your side hustles, double down on your second job, work all the overtime, freaking put that train in full steam ahead and just knock it out, you know? I guess it's not good to make like train jokes right now, probably, but
It's been a month. I feel like I imagine Batman just paying off his debt, being like, "I'm vengeance." It's perfect. So, all right. So step 3 is finish emergency fund. Save 3 to 6 months expenses in a high yield savings account.
Yep. So this is where I would recommend going back and topping off that emergency fund. So, and trying to get closer to like 3 to 6 months. If you're a gig worker, if you are someone who's commission only, if you're someone who, I don't know, in the tech space, especially right now, where layoffs are just happening left and right, maybe you want to stick to 6 months. If you're someone who works for the government and has a very secure job, job security is not a real thing, by the way. If you're someone who feels like, okay, cool, like there's very little probability of me losing my job, maybe you can stick with 3 months. But find a place between those two numbers that you feel like is good for you. And yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. COVID is a great example. You know, the people that had 6 months of an emergency fund laying around when everyone got sent home, we're feeling probably a lot better than the people who had nothing, right?
Oh yeah.
And so it's a peace of mind. It's insurance at the end of the day. You know, it's insurance for yourself to know, hey, something bad happens, I'm going to be able to take care of my family and have 6 months to find another job or find another way to make this work, right? And so it lets you sleep at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then keeping it in a high yield savings account is the best advice, right?
Yes. So I would keep it in a high yield savings account. At this point, you know, it's a bigger chunk of money than just 1 month, right? Especially if you've got like a full 6 months. I would try and find, like, right now, high yield savings account rates are awesome. You know, they're around like 4%, which is just, we haven't seen that in a very long time. So you could be making 4% on your emergency fund, which is killer.
Yeah.
So
Not bad at all.
yeah.
All right. And then what's the next step?
So next step after that is investing 15% for retirement.
Seems like a lot for a lot of people.
I think for a lot of people, it probably is,
Yeah.
you know, especially for people who have not flexed that muscle ever in their life. But at this point, honestly, you should be starting to feel like, hey, you've got a lot more money coming in now that nothing's going to debt. We've got an emergency fund, so little expenses aren't ending up on credit cards and whatnot. We built some good habits, cut back on some spending. We're doing our budget, so we're much more aware. Lots of good stuff, and the train is rolling, right? And so this is where we want to start pouring that extra money that maybe we were sending to debt, and we want to start saving for retirement.
And where do we save for retirement? Like, I mean, what are these retirement accounts you speak of?
So I would say, obviously, the most Americans out there these days have some 401k at work, right? I would say that's probably the most common way. And ultimately, that's where we want to start, because most employers have some type of match, right? Where they say, hey, you contribute 3%, I'll contribute 3%, and match you, right? And so that's 100% return on your money. It's free money at the end of the day, right? So we always want to start there and make sure we're taking advantage of any employer match that's out there.
And a lot of companies won't start you out at the employer match. You have to go in there, make sure you add another percentage to, and then make sure you're being equal to it. So always make sure you're doing it up to their match, because it's just free money.
Yep, 100%. After that, or I guess if you don't have a 401k, you know, if you're self-employed, there is the solo 401k, there's the simple, there's a lot of other options out there for you to take a look at. But ultimately, I think every person, whether you have a 401k or you don't, should be trying to invest in a Roth IRA. There are some income limits to having a Roth IRA. but there's a completely legal loophole called the backdoor Roth IRA that people can perform. That's really not very difficult to still contribute to the Roth IRA. And again, Roth IRAs are awesome because they have they're not taxed on the growth, right? So whatever you contribute grows tax free. So you're letting this money compound over 30 years, and you're pulling it out and not owing any money in taxes, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Your 401k, on the other hand, is most 401ks. A lot of companies are offering Roth 401ks now as well. But traditional 401ks are taxed when you pull out the money. So the money that's going into these 401ks is taken out before you get paid. So it's a lot of times it's a bigger chunk of money. But it's being taxed on the back end, right? It's growing and then being taxed when you pull it out. So the process that I normally tell people, it's kind of like a waterfall effect, right? Is start by getting your match, move over, max out a Roth IRA, and then move back to your 401k and contribute up to the max. So that's where we're at.
Cool. So we have our mini emergency fund. We paid off all consumer debt. We finished our emergency fund. We invested 15% for retirement, and now we're retired. We're millionaires. So,
so I guess one last thing with investing for retirement, take a look at the funds that your company offers. A lot of people say, okay, well, what's next, right? How do retirement accounts work? They're a shell, right? The account, the Roth IRA, the 401k, the solo 401k, whatever. It is telling the IRS how that money is going to be taxed, right? What you actually invest in is up to you. Most companies will automatically put you in some type of target date fund where it just automatically reallocates funds between bonds and stocks, international, over the life of the fund. Does it all automatically, but sometimes those fees can kind of add up. Those funds can be somewhat expensive to have, but they are the set it and forget it funds, right? And you can invest in a target date fund in really any account on your own, in a regular brokerage account, and a Roth IRA, whatever you want, right? But for the listeners that have been following us for a while, they know we are big index fund fans, right?
Woo!
And so I would be looking to invest, and I personally invest all my retirement money and even all my brokerage money into index funds. So
it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
Cool. So then,
So yes, back to your question.
After that, I mean, what's after you invest 15%? Is there any more steps?
So after this, it's time to focus on your specific goals, whether that's, hey, are you someone who's looking to buy a house? Are you looking to invest for your children's college? Are you trying to retire early? A lot of people kind of get through this roadmap and say, holy crap, like I could just keep doing a lot of these things and I could retire in like 10 years, and that's where the real fun starts. And so that's a big goal. I don't know. Some people want to plan their dream vacation.
Yeah.
Some people want to become an entrepreneur or start a business. There's so many other things that you can start to do once all of these steps have been completed, right? And so this is where, again, it gets fun, and you get to start creating some of the more complicated plans about how to get to where it is you're trying to go. I think home ownership's one of the biggest and most common ones. People get out of debt and they're like, oh my God, I finally have the credit score and the down payment necessary to buy a home. So that's a big one. I think, like I said, mentioned already, creating a plan for your children, whether that's, again, for college or money down the line when they graduate, stuff like that. But that's where the fun starts.
Yeah, and this might seem stressful. It might seem like, oh, I have to save $1,000, like I have to pay off all my debt, like start an emergency fund. These things might seem stressful in the moment, but I can tell you, after you've done this all, you're going to have no stress. You're going to feel so much better about life moving forward. You're not going to worry about your future nearly as much. You're going to focus more on what's best for you, and it's just all going to be a more positive light on your life after this. And I can tell you, get through the stress, and then you will not stress anymore.
Yeah, every completing each one of these steps just feels like a giant brick just removed off of your shoulders,
Oh, yeah.
I sleep so good at night not worrying about money, knowing that I would be fine for years if I never made $1, and that kind of security and that feeling is like nothing else, and because again, money is the number one cause of stress in America.
Yeah.
And so the more that you can get your shit together and not have to stress about it, the better you're going to sleep at night, the less stress you're going to have, the less, mental health issues that you're going to have, the more time you're going to have with your family, and just the higher quality of life you're going to live. Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing, but like money is one of those things that, like, a lot of people say, well, money is the root of all evil, or all these different types of things, right? But it's something that we have to deal with. We can't just put it on the back burner. Like, we are not the country that people just, I mean, there are plenty of people who just sit around and get paid, and that's a whole different subject. But for the vast majority of us, like, we don't just get to sit around and collect checks and not do these things. Money is something we have to handle as part of our life, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So if anyone is looking to personally walk down this roadmap together, you can head over to leftcoastfinance.com, and I'm happy to set up a consultation and, work through your specific situation with you. Otherwise, take this information, apply it on your own, and go out there and kick some butt.
Yeah. If you have any questions about this, feel free to write on in. Maybe you'll hear a question on the show, and reach out to Jake if you want to get started on your roadmap. He'll help you out, and he'll get you to a spot where you feel more comfortable. So.
For sure. So, all right, buddy. That was a good half pint episode.
And then before we go, though, if you guys enjoy listening to Brew Bucks, please leave us a 5-star review, or just write a review to us, anything. All of those reviews really help shine a light on us and get us more promoted. So please help us out, guys.
Yep. Help us get higher in the podcast rankings, which, we gotta beat this algorithm.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
All right. Once again, thanks for listening to Brew Bucks. My name is Jacob.
And I'm Alec.
Signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Brew Bucks podcast. Produced by your favorite financial coaching company, Left Coast Finance. If you're looking for help building a personal financial roadmap, or you just want to talk about great beer, and who doesn't, head over to leftcoastfinance.com.